Hey, what's up everyone? So today I have a special video for you because we'll be coming up with this food hero section using React styled components and also frame motion. So we will style everything here using styled components, and the awesome thing is that we'll also make our hero section here to have the light and the dark mode. Now if I click on this button, you'll see that we have the light and the dark mode. Pretty awesome, and we'll be doing this using styled components. Also, we have some animations using frame motion, and when I refresh the page, you'll see that we are animating each React element just like this, which is really cool. So I'll be showing you how to get started with frame motion and add some animation to your React website. Okay, and then another cool thing is that we will be getting an existing design from Dribble. So this design inspiration is from Dribble. I'm not the original creator of the design, and it's made by Outcrowd, and it's called Wood Food Web Design with Illustration. But I obviously made some small improvements on the design, like I added the dark and light mode, and then I thought, why not add some animations using frame motion and make it even more awesome. So the thing is, the original creator is Outcrowd. You can check them out on Dribble, maybe hire them for a design. And by the way, this video is not sponsored. I just thought that this design was so cool, and I thought of converting it into a React web page using React style components and frame motion, and here it is. So I'll be seeing you on the next one, and this is a very awesome video if you are looking forward to get started with styled components and frame motion. So now, to get started, you obviously need to first create a React app, and the easiest way to go about it is to run npx create React app and then the name of the application. In this case, I'm using a period, meaning that the name of my application will be React Food Website. Okay. The next thing that I will want you to install is styled components, frame motion, and also React icons. So this is where I'm doing my installation: npm I styled components, and then flamer hyphen motion, and then React hyphen icons. So you can also install these three libraries or dependencies, because this is what we'll be using to accomplish our React website design. Okay, cool. Once you do that, you can now open this code with Visual Studio Code or any other code editor, but Visual Studio Code is my preferred one. And if you have Visual Studio Code installed, you can run code and then a period. When you hit enter, then React Food website will be opened on Visual Studio Code. Okay, so here we go, and I can maximize this one. And then we have some files which we obviously don't need, so I'll remove unnecessary files and I will remain with app.js on the source folder, app.js and index.js. So I'll remove the rest. So now I'll open index.js file, and let's do some cleanup since we have removed some files. I can remove the comments and report web vitals. Also, I can remove the imports so that they don't throw some errors. So I remove the imports that are unnecessary, and I remain with React, React DOM, and app. And this is all we need to do in our index.js. So I'll save that file, and then I'll open app.js. And from here, I can clean up whatever we have inside our head. So I'll remove everything, and then I'll also remove the class name. When using styled components, we don't usually make use of class names, so I'll just remove that. I will remove the logo, and also I'll remove the app.css file. So I'll remove those two. Because we are not using that CSS file anymore, we'll be making use of styled components. And then I'll save. I don't have anything. So now what I can do, I can just open the VS Code terminal. So I'll click at the top, new terminal, and I'll start my React app from here. So right here, I can start the application using npm start. Now as this loads, because it will take some time, I can actually just come into the SRC folder right here, and I'll create a new folder, and I'll call this folder components. So right here I'll say components. Inside the components, I'll create a new file which we will use to create our global styles. So I'll call this file global. Actually, I'll say globals, and then styles, and then .jsx. So the first thing you need to note is that the naming of this file doesn't actually matter. This is just a convention for us to know that this is a style file that has our global styles. Now, how do we create global styles? We need to import what we call create global style from styled components. So right here, I'll actually destructure it from styled components, and it's called create, and then I'll say global style, and now these will come from styled components, just like that. And now we can make use of it down here, and I'll say export const, and I'll export global styles, just like that, and I'll set it to be equal to. Now we can make use of create global style right here. So this is how we do it. We can say create global style, and then for us to invoke these methods and functions that style components use, we usually make use of a backtick, okay? And then we can include all the CSS styles inside these backticks, okay? So now inside these backticks, I can include the normal CSS stylings in here. So I can select all the elements just like that. I can select all the pseudo selectors. So I can say all pseudo selectors. I'll say before, and then I can select all the after pseudo selectors, just like that. And we can include some default styles for these all the elements that we have in our React website. So I'll set the margin to be 0. So I'll clear the margin for everything to be 0. I will clear the padding to be 0, just like that. And then I'll set the box sizing to be border box. And now we can also like set a font family for all the elements. Now for this one, we need to make use of Google Fonts, okay? So first of all, let me save this one, and we will go to Google and then look for Google Fonts. So I'll open a new tab right here. I'll go with fonts.google.com, and from here you can search for pop-ins and then select all the font styles that you want. So in this case, I'm already like selecting them right here. I'm selecting 200, 400, 500, 700, and 900. And then you can either add it to a CSS file, or you can add it to a HTML file. Now, when working with styled components, it is easier to add it to a HTML file. So I'll just copy whatever we have right here. So I'll copy that, and then I'll go back to my code, and then I'll go to the public folder, and this is where we have our index.html file. And now from here, you can paste it in anywhere in the head, but I like to do it just before our title. I'll paste those links right here, okay? And then I'll make sure to save this file. So I'll set the font family to Poppins, and we will have a fallback of sans serif. And then after this, after all our elements, I can select the HTML element. So just right here, I can say HTML, and all I will do is that I can maybe set the font size for this one. First of all, we will have the font size of about 15px, and then I can set the background color, and we will be having a light and dark theme. But to start with, let me just set the background to black and then the color to white, and then we'll come back later on and fix them, okay, so that they are dynamic and they'll change according to our theme. So for now, this is all we will add in our global styles, okay. So for these changes to take effect, we need to import these global styles to our app.js. So in app.js, we can be able to use that global style as a normal React component, just like this. So if I say global, I should get a suggestion, and here we go, global styles. When I click on it, it will be auto imported from our components, global.styles, which is really awesome. Now all I need is to do that. Now let's also have some content right here. Maybe I can have a h2, and for this h2 element I'll just say hey, and then I will save. Now let's preview our app on the browser. So I'll open the browser where we have our app. I'll make sure that I refresh, and now look, our global style is working. We have a background of black and the text is white, and that is really cool. And that is how we can add global styles using styled components. You import create global style and then use some backticks, and you can include the styles in here, and then you can now be able to use these global styles as a normal React component in our app.js, and you call it just like this. Awesome. So now I want us to implement the theme switcher such that when we click on a certain button, we can switch between the light and the dark mode. And this is very easy to implement with styled components. So first of all, I can create a container for our app. I need to import what we call styled from styled components. So right here, I can import styled from styled components, just like that. And now I can be able to make use of this styled to create any React or JSX element, okay? So just above our app, okay? So right here, I can now be able to create a container for our app. I can say const container, and I can set this to styled dot div. So you can create any HTML or JSX element using this styled. You can have styled.button, styled.div, styled. Maybe h, or whichever element you want to create, okay? So now right here, I can now use some backticks like we did with the global styles. So I'll use some backticks, and I can include the CSS styles for this div, okay? So right here, I can give our container div a height, and I'll give it a height of 100 VH. I can give it a padding. Top and bottom will be 0. Left and right will be 100 px. And then we can set the position for our container to be relative, because we'll be having some element inside the container which will be having a position of absolute. So let me set this one to relative. And even before we continue, I want to show you that I'm using an extension for this syntax highlighting. So when you come to the extensions, you'll be able to see that I'm using this extension, VS Code styled components, for syntax highlighting, which is pretty awesome. So you can install the same if you want to have this syntax highlighting, okay? And also it will give you cool suggestions like Emmet does. Okay, cool. So this is our container for our app, and now instead of using a div here, we can be able to replace it with our container. So I replace that with container, and now we should be having a padding around our content. So let's see if it's working, and there we go. So we have some padding on the sides. Okay, cool. So now after our container here, I will create two objects. One will be for the light theme, and the other one will be for the dark theme. So right here, let's have const light theme. The background color for this one will be white, and I'll also set a font color, and the font color for this one will be black. And this is all I need to do for the light theme. I can duplicate it at the bottom, and then right here let's have the dark theme. So I'll have dark theme, and now I'll change the background here to let's say black, and I'll have the font color as white. Awesome. So now the thing is, we can switch between light and dark theme using our React state. So what I'll do, I'll need to make use of state right here. Now inside our component here, our function, just before the return statement, and I'll call use state, and I make sure that I click this one so that it's auto imported at the top. And the initial state, I'll set it to be a string and it will be dark. So that means that the default state will be our dark theme right here, depending on the checks that will be performing. So I can store this dark value in a variable. So right here we should say const, and then we destructure this value dark to be theme, and then we have a function for updating the theme to be set theme. Okay, so theme is holding our value here, which is our dark value. So now that we have this value in our state, we can use it to determine whether we should display the right theme or the dark theme. Now in styled components, we have what we call a theme provider. So right here, I can call theme provider, and this will come from styled components, and then I will wrap everything in our app with this theme provider. Okay, so I remove that there and include it here. And this theme provider accepts a prop, which is theme, and this theme prop should be equal to an object. Okay, so we should be passing an object to this theme prop. And the good thing is that we have our dark theme object and our light theme object. So if in this case I pass the light theme just like this as our object, so I can include the curly brackets just like that. Now we have a theme right here going on, and we can be able to use the values that are inside our light theme. So we can say something like theme.background and so on. So the thing is, this theme will be available in our styled component styles. Any file that is using styled components, it will have access to this theme prop. So in our global styles, we can be able to access that particular prop right here. So instead of using the background right here, I can be able to access the props using the $sign and then the curly brackets. So I'm supposed to like use an arrow function so that I can return a value, and inside here I have access to our props, so I can say props, and I can return a value which will be coming from our theme provider. So I can say props dot theme, and then I can say dot background. So dot background like that. And what this will do is that it is accessing the value that is in our right theme right here. So it will access props.theme and then dot background. And when we check our browser, you'll see that the background now it's white because this is the light theme. So if we change this theme right here to dark theme, so we say dark theme just like that and save, you'll notice that now our background will change to this one, background, which is black. Now if I come back right here, you'll see now the background is black. So we are reading the value using this theme prop, and we can now dynamically display this dark theme or light theme depending on our state, which is really cool. So we can perform a check right here. So right here we have this theme. Okay, so we can use it to perform a check. We can say if theme is equals to light, then let us display the light theme. So right here, I will display the light theme, or rather I'll pass this light theme object. Okay, so I'll pass the light theme object, else I'll pass the dark theme object. So now these will change depending on our state. So right now it is dark. So if it's dark, then this is not equal to light, therefore it will display our dark theme. So when I save this, we should have our background as dark. And if we change the value of our state, if we change this one to light and then we save, you'll see that now it will be our light theme. So when I check on this one, we should change this one to white. Awesome. So now we can like update the theme using our state, which is really awesome. So let me come to global styles, and I can do what I did on the background the same way on our color. So I can just like copy this one and I can paste it here. And now this can be theme.font color. So now both of these values are dynamics, and this is one of the awesomeness of using styled components, because we can be able to pass props. And the good thing is that we can also like destructure stuff from props. So we can destructure theme from here, and also here we can be able to destructure theme instead of using props all the time. So you can destructure theme, and I can remove this now props from here. So I'll use Ctrl D to remove both of them, and I'll save that. And now what I want us to do is to change the state right here, either to dark or light on a button click. Okay, so how can we do that? So first of all, I want my theme to have a default of dark, and then we can maybe have a button. This button will be having it on the navbar, but for now let's just have a simple button just to work with. We'll be removing it later on. And what I'll do, I'll say button, and let's have a closing one, button, just like that. And now right here I can say change theme, and I should correctly close this one so that it stops throwing an error. So I have a button, and I want to call up a specific function whenever I click on this button. So I'll be calling a function called toggle theme. So we can have an on click event, and when we click on this button, we will be calling toggle theme, and then I can invoke it like that. Now we don't yet have this function, so let's create it here. So I can use a tag, and then I say const toggle theme will be equal to an R function, and we can do something in here, and all we will be doing is like changing the state either to dark or light, like we will toggle the state. Okay, so how can we do that? So right here I can say if theme is equals to light. So if currently we are having theme as light, what we will want to do is to set theme to dark. So if this is light, we will set theme to dark. So I can call set theme and pass dark in here. Else we will set the theme to light mode. So we will set the theme, I'll invoke it, and I'll say light. Awesome. And now when we click on change theme, it will check our state. Okay, if we are currently having light, it will set the theme to dark, else it will set the theme to light. So let's test this one out, and hopefully it will work out. So I'll save that, and then I'll go back to the browser. So we have this function of changing our theme. So when we click on it, look, we can change the theme to light or dark. And now we'll be calling this function when we add an icon at our navbar. I just wanted to like start with this one so that it's easy to like understand first, and then we can move on. Okay, so I want us to work on the navbar. right here. So we will have a logo on this side, we'll have some links, and then we'll have some social icons right here. Also, we'll add our own icon to switch between the dark mode and the light mode. Okay, so let's just jump right in. So in our components folder, I'll add a new folder called layout, and this is where we will include our navbar component. So we can say navbar.jsx, I hit enter, and then inside this navbar, what I will do, I can just use SFC, which is coming from an extension for creating a React component. So I'll create a stateless functional component and I'll call it navbar. And then right here, I can just return some JSX. So since we will be using styled components and we want this navbar to have its own separate file for the styles, I would like to combine this navbar and our styles file together in one folder. So what I can do, inside the layout, I can add another folder and I can call it nav, and then I'll move this navbar in this particular nav. So I'll highlight it and move it in here. So I'll move, and then now inside this nav, I'll also add another file, and this one will be for the styles. So I can call it navbar and then dot styles and then dot jsx. So this navbar.styles.jsx will be including all the styles for our navbar component. So you can either do this or you can include the styles and the content of the navbar on the same file, but it's up to you. Okay, I like to sometimes separate them so that our navbar component here will be a bit cleaner. Okay, so what we will do on this navbar.styles.jsx is that we need to import a styled from styled components. So I'll import styled, and this will come from styled components, and then we can use this styled to create different JSX elements and also style them. Okay, so what I'll do, we should wrap our entire nav right here with a nav element. So that is what I'll start with, and I can say export. So we need to export it so that we can import it on our navbar right here. So I'll say export const, and then I'll say styled nav. This will be equal to styled, and then dot nav. I use some backticks, and we can include the styles in here. So what we will do is that we want to center our content, especially vertically, and then we can justify the content to have space between. So we will give it a display of flex. So I'll say display to be flex, and then we will align the items to the center. So we will align the items to the center, and then we will justify the content to have space between them. So justify content space between. Okay, and then let's also give it a specific height. So I can say height, let the height be 70px, and for now let's give it a background color, but we'll be removing it, and let's say this is red. So we just want to make sure that we can see our styled nav and make sure that everything is working. So let's wire up this styled nav inside our navbar. So what we can do, we'll come to the navbar right here, and now inside our React fragments, we can include it in here. So we can be able to use it as a normal React component. So we can say styled nav right here. So we have a suggestion. When I click on this one, it will be auto imported just like that. And then I'll have an opening and a closing tag so that we can include the content of our nav in here. Okay, so let me save that, and then we need to now import this NavBar in our app.js. So I'll come to app.js and then I'll scroll down here, and just after our global styles, I can include it right here. So I'll say NavBar, and then I'll wait for a suggestion. It's auto imported, and I can self close it like this. So I'll save that file, and then we can preview what we have done so far on the browser. So this is what we currently have, and you can see we have some spacing on the side because of our container, and we can now remove this hay because we don't need it there. So let's come back right here and remove the hay just like that, and then I'll save that file. The next thing that we can do is to style our logo. So if I come to the design, this is the logo, wood food, and it's just text. So what we'll have a wrapping div, and then we will wrap food here with a span. So let's create that div and the span and style them with styled components. So I'll come back to my files and go to navbar.styled.jsx, and then I'll remove the background. We no longer need it. We just wanted to make sure that we can see that particular navbar. Now right here, I'll create a div for our logo. So I'll just call it logo. So I'll say export const logo, and this will be equal to styled.div, and then I use some backticks. So I'll start by giving this logo a font weight. Remember, the logo will be just text. So I'll say font hyphen weight will be 700, and then I'll give it a font size of 25px. So font hyphen size will be 25px, just like that. And then now we will wrap food with a span. So we can select the span and we can style it in here. So now the cool thing with styled components, we can be able to nest elements like these, okay? So we have a div and we can be able to nest a span like this, and we can add the styles for this span right here. So I'll say color for this one to be hash. This will be like a grayish color. So just like that, I will save. So I need to include a semicolon right here. So I'll save that, and then I'll go to NavBar, and now we can make use of it right here. So right here we will have our logo, which is a div. I click on this one so that it's auto imported, and then we can have the wording right here. We will have wood, and we wrap the food with a span. So I'll say span, and now right here I can say food. Awesome. So I'll save that, and let's see what we have. So here we should have wood food, and there we go. It's actually working. When we change them to this one, you can see this is what we have, pretty close to this one. Okay, awesome. So now let's style the links. So I wrap all the links in a div called navlinks, and then each of these one will be a specific link. So I'll go back to nav.styled.jsx. So what I'll do right here, I'll export const navlinks. So export const navlinks. This will be equal to styled.div. I include the backticks. So for now, I'll leave it just like that. We'll just have it as a div wrapper, but we need to style the links themselves. So right here, maybe I can just duplicate this one down here. It will be much easier. And then now right here, I'll call this one link. Instead of links, it will be a specific link, and we can create an A element, which is awesome, just like that. And then let's now add the stylings for the anchor links. So we will have a text decoration of none. So text decoration right here will be none, just like that. And then we can have some margin to the right so that we can be able to have some spacing between the links. So margin to the right of about 50px will do. So 50px, okay, I'm not supposed to duplicate that one. 50px, and then let's add the color. And for the color, we will read it from styled components. So right here, I'll include the dollar sign and then the curly brackets. And now right here, I can have an arrow function which will return some value. So inside this arrow function, I'll destructure theme just like that. And now right here, we can return theme dot font color. And then let's have some font weight for this one. So I'll have font weight and I'll set it to 500. And now I also want to clear the margin for the last child, for the last A element. And as I told you, we can be able to nest elements. And this is how we select the pseudo selector. I'll say end and then full colon. And now right here I can say last child, just like this. And I can add the styles in here. And all I'll do, I'll clear the margin to the right. So margin right here to be 0. And then let's also add some hover effect. So right here, I'll say and hover. So why is it? And full colon, I'll say hover. And then I can add the styles for the hover effect. And all I'll do, I'll be changing the color to some orange color, which will match the theme of our site. And I'm not reading this from props because it will be static. It is not dynamic across the site. So I don't need to include it in our theme. So I'll just read it like this. Yeah, that color right there. And this is all I need to do for the links. So I'll save this. And now let's make use of the nav links and the link in our navbar. So now inside the navbar, after our logo, we will have nav links. So nav links, I can wait for a suggestion. And then in here, we'll be able to have a link. So we can have a link and I can auto import it like that. And this link will be able to accept a href. So right here, you can have all the attributes for a link. So I'll have href and I'll direct it to hash. So it's not going anywhere. It's just a placeholder. And I can call this one all menus, just like that. And then I can have another link. So we have I'm just adding these links right here, all menus. We have delivery, bar, and contacts. Okay, so let me add them real quick, just like this. So I have my links ongoing right there, and we can preview them on our site. So I'll go back to the browser and we should have the links somewhere. So here we are. These are the links. Now let's work on an icon to switch between the dark and the light mode. So right here, I can create that wrapper for our icons. Remember, these icons will be two, a sun icon and a moon icon. We'll be dynamically switching them depending on the theme. So right here, let me export theme icon just like this. So theme icon, and then I'll set it to be equal to styled.div. So this is just a wrapper for our icon. And then now in here, we can add the styles. We'll give it a width, a height, and then we will flex the icon to the center. Okay, so this is like a wrapper for our icon again. So let's have a width of 50px, and then we can have a height of 50px, just like this. And then we can have a display of flex so that we center everything that is inside this wrapper. And then we can use align item center and justify content to the center. So I'll align the items to the center and I'll justify the content to the center. And then let's change the font size for our icon. So we can change its size using font size. And I'll set this one to 20px, and also I'll set the cursor to pointer for the wrapper. So cursor pointer. Cool. So This is awesome. Let me save that, and then let's come back to our navbar, and just after our nav rings, let's have theme icon. So theme, hopefully I get a suggestion. I don't. Icon, and then I can now include our icon right here. Okay, so now for this icon, we will be getting the icon from React Icons, and I remember that I told you to install React Icons area, and this is how we can make use of it. So we will have a far moon, so far moon, and since I'm not getting the suggestion to auto import it, I'll have to auto import it manually at the top. So this will be self-closing. Let's now import it manually right here. Okay, so I'll say import, and I'll destructure it from our import. So we will have far moon like this, meaning that this was a named export, and this is from React Icons. So I'll click on React Icons stroke FA, meaning font awesome. So I'm getting this from font awesome icons in our React Icons dependency. Now I'll also import what we call fasan. So you can like browse different icons on React Icons website. So we also have fasan like that, and this far moon should actually start right here with a capital like that, far moon. Okay, so cool. So I'll save that, and then actually let me come down here and also add fasan right here, fasan. So we should be having these two icons on our browser. So let's check. I'll save and come back to the browser. So we should be having them on this side. I'll wait for it to reload, or I can manually reload it. So look, awesome. We now have our icons right here, but we want to show one icon at a time. So we need to do some conditional rendering depending on whether we are on dark mode or on light mode. So let's do that. So I'll come back right here, and I'll go back to actually our app.js right here, and we should be passing the theme as a prop. Okay, so on our navbar we should pass theme as a prop. So right here I'll say theme, and this will be equal to theme. So we are passing it as a prop, just like that. Awesome. And then I'll save that file. Now I can come back to navbar, and then I'll accept the theme as a prop. So right here we can have theme, just like this. And now we can use this theme to conditionally render this one. Okay, so right here I'll include the curly brackets, and then we can say if theme is equal to light, if this is true, let us show the moon. Okay, so on light mode we'll show the moon. So right here I can just like cut this one and then include it here. Else let's show the sun. So I can cut this one and I'll include it here. So I'll save, and now there we go. So let's preview it. We should now be having only one of it. Let me refresh, and look, now we have this sun, and then on light mode we have the moon. So this is working out well. Now let's hook up the onClick event. Instead of using this button, let us now use this particular icon. Okay, so I'll come back right here, and what we need to do is to pass our let me come to app.js. We need to pass this toggle theme as a prop to our navbar. So I'll pass it as a reference. So right here I'll say toggle theme. This one will be equal to toggle theme. So we are just passing it as a prop right here for us to hook that functionality to our icon. So I'll say toggle theme, just like that, and then I can just remove this button. We no longer need it. Okay, so I'll remove it and I'll save that. Okay, now let's receive toggle theme on our navbar. I will destructure toggle theme, just like this. And then let's add an onClick event on our theme icon. So I'll say onClick. Let's call our toggle theme. So we'll just pass the reference to this function. So toggle theme, just like that. Okay. So I will save this and then we can test it out. So I'll come back right here. Let me refresh. So now when I click on this one, we change to light mode. When I click on this one, we change to dark mode, and we are also switching the icon. Cool. You can also like add a color to this one if you want, so that it looks like a sun, the orange color. So how you can do that, we need to determine whether we are on light mode or dark mode. So we can pass theme as a prop to this theme icon. So what I can do, for us to avoid the confusion, I can change the name to color theme, just like this. And then I can reference our theme prop. So this theme is the one that we have right here. So I'll save that and then I'll go to the styles, and from here I can like have a color just like this. So from here I'll be reading two props, the color theme and the theme. So let me show you the difference. Okay, so if I come to app.js, we have this theme that we are passing to the navbar, and this theme is what we have on our state. Okay, so this theme right here is what we have on our state. It is this one, the dark theme. Okay, and then we also have this theme at our theme provider, and this is a prop that we are passing to the theme provider, and we are passing it as an object. Okay, so we are either passing it as a light theme or a dark theme. So as you can see, we are having two themes right here. Okay, so I want us to read this theme right here, for us to read the colors from the dark theme or the light theme, and I'll also read this theme right here for us to determine whether we are on dark mode or light mode. Okay, so the one that we have renamed to color theme, it is this from the state, it is either dark or light, and then this other one is either giving us the dynamic colors. Okay, and right here I have like made a mess. Let me reverse, and now that you understand we have two of them, let's come right here and read them from the state. So the one that we have on the theme provider will obviously be a variable globally, and we can read it right here. So right here I'll destructure two things. I'll destructure this theme, and this is the one that is in form of an object and it is having different colors. And then this one, color theme, it is the one that is a string from the state, either light or dark. So right here we are supposed to return one value, the color. So we will use this color theme to determine whether it's dark or light. So I'll say color theme, and then we will perform a check. So we'll say equal 3 $, and then is this equal to dark? If this is true, then we want to display an orange color for the sun. So I'll say hash ff, and then we will have C1 4D. Else we will lead the font color from our theme provider. So I will say theme.font color. I will save this and let's preview. So this now should be orange, hopefully. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. This is orange. When I click on it, this is black, and this is now coming from the theme provider. This is just a custom color fixed. Awesome. Now we need to include some social icons, the Facebook and Instagram. Let's do that. So again, I'll have a wrapper for the social icons, like we had a wrapper for the theme icons. So right here I can just export, and then I'll say const, and I'll call this one social icons, and this will be equal to style.div and I'll include some backticks. And then now in here, we can have some styles. For now, let me first fix this one. So all I will do, I'll add a display of flex. So we will flex the Facebook icon and the Instagram icon. So I'll come to the navbar, and after the theme icon, let us add the social icons. So from here, I'll say social, and let me wrap this one like this. Social icons. Hopefully I'll get a suggestion so that it's auto imported. And then now in here, we can include our social icons. Now they'll be inside an anchor link. So I can just use an anchor link directory like this, and I'll say hash. And now right here, I can auto import the far Facebook from React icon. So I can say far Facebook like that from React icons stroke far. And then I self close it. So this is the first link. Let me duplicate it right here, and I change the icon to Instagram. So right here, instead of Facebook, we'll have Instagram. So hopefully I'll get a suggestion. There we go. And I can self close it like that. So right now we have two icons. Let's see how they look first. So I'll come back. We make sure we can see them right here. Let's see. I'm waiting for it to load, and we have an error. So far Instagram is not defined. So we didn't get an auto import. So let's manually import it right here. I'll say far Instagram. And you can check the names on React Icons website if you want a specific icon. So I'll come back, and there we go. So we have the two icons, the Facebook icon and the Instagram icon. Let's style them. So they are inside a link, and we can be able to nest that link right here. So right here, I can just select the A element. And from here, I'll add a color, and I'll read the color from the theme. So let me copy this one. I'll copy that, and then I'll include it here. So it will be dynamic whether we are on night or dark mode, okay? And then we can use this anchor link as a wrapper for our icon. So the thing is, these icons are SVG icons, okay? So if I inspect it, you'll see that it is an SVG icon, and then now we can like center it. So I'll inspect that, and let's see. So as you can see from here, this is an SVG icon. You can see it has an opening and a closing tag for an SVG. So I want it to be at the center of our anchor link, okay? So we can add a display to it of flex, and then we can align the items to the center. So align items center, and I'll justify content to the center. And then what I'll do, I will add a border around it. So I'll have a border, and for this border, it will be 2px, and then solid, and I'll use a gray color, hash EEE. And let's have a border radius. So I'll have a border radius, and for this border radius, we'll have 10px. Pretty cool, pretty awesome. And the last thing that I'll do, let's have a padding around it of about 12px. So how is padding written? Let us also give it a margin to the right. So I'll say margin hyphen right, and this one will be about 10px. And we will clear the margin for the last child. So right here I can select the last child, and this is supposed to be one of them. we'll set the margin to the right to be 0. So we'll just clear that margin to the right. Okay. Also, let's have a hover effect for our anchor link. Okay. So right here, we'll say and hover. And all we will do right here is to change the background color and the color. So for the color, I can just copy it from here. I'll copy this one, I'll paste it here, and although this is like the color for the font, I'll like revert this one on hover. So I'll set it to be background. So background color. And then for the background, I'll set it to be the orange color that we have been using. So I'll say background now right here to be the background color that we have been using, which is I don't know what it is actually, this one. So I'll just copy it and I'll come back right here, the orange color. I'll save it. Okay, and this is all we need to do for this style. Let's see if it makes sense, and let me now close that one. And there we go. So now look, our icons looks pretty nice. They have that hover effect, and for the color, I don't know, the color is not working. Let's see what we had used here. Okay, we didn't have color, we just had a background. Okay, so font color should be this. I save, and the color for the font when I hover should take the color for the background. So it's taking the white color when I hover. And then when we are on this one, now it should be black when I hover. Awesome. So this is working, and we have actually completed our navbar right there. Pretty nice. Looks exactly like this one, only that we have added the dark and the light theme, and also we have added this icon. Now the next thing that we will do, we will actually like add the animations using Framer Motion. Okay, so that you can learn how to use Framer Motion as early as possible. So now I want us to animate our nav items so that they appear one by one in a sequence, and we'll be using Framer Motion to animate them. Okay, so Framer Motion is so easy to use and actually very awesome. And now let's just dive right in. So the first thing that we need to do is to import motion from Framer Motion. So now right here, I'll just import, I will destructure motion from Framer Motion. Just like that. Awesome. Now the cool thing is that we can use this motion to create any JSX element and add some animations to it. So we can create a wrapper div to wrap everything. So right here, after the fragment, I'll add motion dot div, and now this div, we can be able to pass various props to it and add some animations. So first of all, I'll cut this one, and then I'll wrap everything with motion dot div. So as you can see, we can be able to create any JSX element with motion like we were doing with the styled components. Okay, and then at the top here, at our motion dot div right here, the opening one, we can be able to pass various props to it. For example, we have an initial prop, so this will specify the initial styles that we should use, or initial animation for our div right here, and we will be able to pass a specific value right here. And then another prop that we will be passing is animate. So this is now the value that will allow us to animate our div right here from the initial value to the animated value, and we'll be able to also pass some value right here. And then another thing is that we have variants, and the variants, this now is our various animations, and it should be an object. So right here I'll pass these curly brackets and I'll pass the object like this. Now right here we can be able to pass now the initial value and the animated value, and then we can like reference them right here. So let me give you an example. For example, we can start with a hidden value. So hidden, and this hidden will have an opacity of 0. So right here I'll pass an object and I'll pass an opacity of 0. So I'll say opacity is 0. And then this hidden now, we can reference it right here in our initial. So we can say let this one be hidden, the initial value. So the initial value simply means that it will have an opacity. This is opacity actually of 0. And then we can have now for the animate value, let's say visible. So right here I can say visible. And for visible, we can have now an opacity of 1. So opacity of 1. So this visible, we can pass it here for our animate prop. So I'll say visible. So I'll save that, and this is like basically it. Okay, now the good thing is that we can pass multiple values right here. For example, we can add a delay for this one, and for delay we should pass a transition. So I can say transition like this, transition, and then for the transition we should pass different values to it. So I'll make it to be object here, and then for this object we can add a delay to it, and the delay we can add maybe 0.3 seconds. Okay, so that when we like animate it, it will like have a delay and you can see that animation in effect. And now what will happen is that it will animate from an opacity of 0 to an opacity of 1. So make sure you save that, and then let's see what we have. You'll see that we have that slight delay, and then it's animating to 1. So the effect is not very clear, but it is there. It is taking some time to load, and then it is appearing. So maybe let me give this one 1 second. I'll save, and then when we refresh, we should see that effect. And there we go. Awesome. Now the thing is, I want us to animate each of the nav items, and the way we will do it is that for this particular variant, since we will be having a lot of styles, we won't include it here. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll highlight what we have right here and then remain with just the curly brackets, and then I'll just cut it, and I'll be creating an object just at the top here, and I'll say const nav items, and this now will be equal to the object that I just copied. Okay, so we have the hidden, the opacity and stuff, and then instead of passing the object right here directly, I can reference nav items. Okay, just like that, and then I'll save. Okay, cool. And then another thing that we can do is that instead of passing the transition here to be having a delay of 1, what we are interested in is the delay of the children. Okay, so right here, instead of passing a delay of 1, I can say delay children by 0.3. So this will delay the children elements, and let me show you how you can like animate them. So how we can do it is that we can create another constant right here. So I can say const, and I'll call this one item, and then this item will be having the hidden and the visible property. So right here I can say hidden, and the hidden now will be an object, and it will have an opacity of 0 to begin with, and then it will have opacity of 0 to begin with, and then it will have we will animate it along the y-axis. So the y-axis will be negative 100 like that, and then this is const item is equals to an object. So yeah, fix that. And then now right here, this is the hidden value, which is an object. It is having an opacity of 0, and along the y-axis we are moving from a negative value of 100. And then let's have the visible. So right here you have visible, and then right here what we will do a similar thing, but we'll just change the values. So we will have an opacity and y. Let me just copy them instead of typing out, and then I'll paste them here. But now for opacity, we'll have a value of 1, and for y, we will animate to 0. Okay, cool. So now this item, we should be using it on our child elements for this motion.div. So it should be a child of this one. And what I want us to do is, for example, to animate the logo. So how we can do that is that we can reference the motion. So right here I can say motion, and I can literally use any wrapping element. Let me use a div, and now when I close it like this, I can highlight this one, I cut it, and then I paste it at the bottom here. So I'll paste it like that. Now I'll save to auto format, but now we need to pass a variance prop right here. So I'll say variance, and I'll set variance to be equal to now to be this item. Okay, so right here I'll set it to be item. So now what has happened is that these styles will be included to this particular logo only, but also it will take the styles that are available in the parent. So this is the parent variant, this is the child variant. Okay, and there is a reason why we are doing this, and that is to add a delay to each of them dynamically, and I'll show you how we can do that. But for now, let's see what we have. So now when I refresh this one, we should be able to animate the logo along the y-axis. So you can see the logo is coming from top, from a negative value. So let me refresh again, and you'll see it hopefully. Yeah, you can see the logo is coming up to bottom. So yeah, this is how we can now animate the child. Now, the cool thing is that when we do this, we'll be having a lot of elements that we don't need to use actually. Like we have a div that is wrapping our logo div, and then we have now some content. So the thing is, we can like style motion.div with styled components instead of like adding multiple wrapping divs. So how can we do that? So what we can do, we can just like import this motion from framer motion into our nav.styles. So I'll come here, scroll to the top, and I can import it here. And then with styled components, we can be able to style any component or element. So the thing is, instead of saying styled.div, we can remove .div here, and then we wrap this one with motion.div. And this will not affect the styles. And the cool thing is that instead of using motion.div right here as a wrapper, instead of using it right here, we can just pass the variants. So I can just cut this and pass it to our logo. So I can pass it here, and then I can remove this one, so that the style remains to be very simple. So when I save this one, and then I make sure that the styles one is also saved, and then I come to the browser right here and refresh, we should still be animating the logo. Pretty nice, right? And now instead of like adding a wrapping div to all the elements, we can just copy these props. I will cut them, and then I will include them in our styled nav. And then I remove motion.div, and then I come to the very bottom and remove motion.div, and then I can save that file, and I come to navbar.styles.jsx, and now instead of saying styled.nav, we can remove .nav, and then we call this styled as a function this way, and I can say motion.nav, and then I save that, and now this styled nav will be our parent element for both the flamer motion and our styled component. So when I come back, So let's refresh and see if we are having the animations. And there we go, still animating, pretty cool. So this is very awesome. And now the thing is, we can pass this, where is it? We can pass the variant of item right here to any item of our nav that we want to style. So right here in our link right here, we can pass that as a prop, and then for this one we can pass it as a prop, and then for this one we can pass it as a prop, and then for this one we can also pass it as a prop. And when I save this, I can also now come to navbar.styles, and now instead of creating the link directory as an A, let me look for it. So instead of saying styled.a, we can say styled, and then we call this as a function, and I can say motion.a, and now they'll be considered as child in our frame of motion animations. So I'll save that, and now when we come back to our animations right here, we should be seeing them animating from top. So actually they are not animating from top, and the reason is because an A element is usually an inline element. So let's make it a block level element. Actually we'll make it an inline block element. Okay, so right here we can add a display of inline block, just like that, and this way it will be able to move from top, and then it will animate downward. So when we come down here, let's refresh and let's see. Now all of them are coming from top to bottom right here, but we want them to animate one by one, one by one, one by one. Now to add that effect is very easy in frame of motion, and this is one of the reasons why we use it. So right here we can just come right here at our transition, we can add a property to it. We can say stagger children, just like this, and we can add some value to it. So this is like the amount of delay before the next child will animate. So right here we'll have a delay children of 0.3, and then after 0.2 seconds we'll see the next one. After another 0.2 seconds we'll see the other one, and so on and so on and so on. So they'll animate one by one in a sequence. So I will save this and let's test it out. Now when we refresh, we should have that effect. Okay, so it has like an awful delay, but there we go. Now you can see it clearly. When I refresh, now they are animating one by one. So let's add the effects to our icon here, and also to our icons there for the social icons. So now that is very easy, because we just need to pass the variant of item to them. So for the theme icon, I'll pass the variant right here, variants of item. Now for this one, it's kind of tricky, because we actually like need to reference these using styled components and make it a block level element. But the alternative, what we can do is that we can just pass the variants right here like this. So I can just pass the variants like this, and we can use an inline styling. So we can say style to be equal to, and then now right here I can say display to be inline block, like that, and hopefully it will work out. Let me copy this one and then I'll paste it here, instead of like keep on using styled components. But now we need to go to theme icon in styled components and use the motion object. So in our theme icon, instead of styled.div, I wrap this one and say motion.div. Okay, and I'll save that, and then I'll come to the navbar and I will save it, and hopefully everything will work out. And let's test it. So I'll go back to the browser and I will refresh. We are animating that, but our icons here are not working out, so my implementation is wrong. So what we can do is that you see this display of inline block. I think it's contradicting with our display of flex right here. So I think what we can do to fix this, we can just like add a div right here to wrap our links. Okay, I'll add a div and I'll wrap this one to this one. So I'll cut that and wrap it like that. I'll also do the same for this one. So I'll just cut this one and include it here. And then I'll remove the inline styles. That is now unnecessary. Just like that. I'll remove this one as well. And for us to fix this one, we can pass the variants. I can like use Control D, and then I can like delete them, so that we delete both of them, but we include the variant right here. So let me copy the variants. Actually, it's variants. I'm sorry that I'm saying a variant. It's a variant. So I will save that to auto format, and I'll also include variants right here. And now what we can do is that we can go to the NavBar, and what we should do for this to work out is that I need to style the div itself, because when I save this one, actually, you'll see that we no longer have the spacing right here. Let's see if it's still there. I'll refresh, and you can see now we don't have that spacing right here. So we need to style that div. So right here, I'll select the div, and I will move the margin to the right to that div. So I'll move it there, and then I'll also move the last child to it, so that we clear the margin on the right. So I'll cut that and I will include it right here. So I will save, and now hopefully we should be seeing our animations and the style is okay. So let's refresh, and the animation for this one is not being applied for some reason. Okay, we are not using motion, so instead of div we should say motion.div, and then instead of div here we should say motion.div. Okay, that is what is lacking. That's why they can't be animated. And actually, thinking of it, I think our implementation was just right, but we didn't pass motion.a. So yeah, maybe you can try it out, but I'm not going into it. I'm hopeful that this one will work out, so I'll stick to it. So when I come back right here, let's see if they are animating. Now look, all of them are animating one by one with the help of a stagger motion. So yeah, that is very awesome, and I'm happy with it. And now this video is longer than I expected, so I'll call this as our part 1 of our hero section, and I'll come up with a part 2 for us to cover the details for our hero section, the image, the text, and so on. Also use Framer Motion to animate them. So that will be it for this entire video, and this is now the part 1 of our hero section. There is so much that we have done, and it took us longer than I expected. So I don't want this video to be too long, to be too boring. So I'll end it here, and if you liked it, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe, turn on post notification, so that when I upload the next one, you'll be the first one to see it. So thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.